Alright mate, how the fuck are ya? Welcome to episode 240, I do believe, of the TEW 2020 challenge run. Now you are hearing me, Russell the big Aussie mate, because Connell had his mic muted, but fear not, he will be unmuted come the start of the fucking show. Anyway, it is night 2 of the draft. You are looking at tonight's pool on your screen right here. Some big names left in the pool, and 5 rounds on SmackDown, 2 on Talking Smack, and then of course Velocity, which marks the start of the Cruiserweight World Cup. Should be sick mate. Anyway, that's a hooroo from me. Enjoy the fucking show mate.
Hello? Testing. Right, okay. Good job I noticed that, actually. I wasn't recording the microphone. Basically, Seth Rollins comes out, he jokes about not being able to fight Roman for the belt anymore, and then, wants an open challenge for anybody who came over in the draft from SmackDown. Ricochet is the guy, and they have a banging opening match. 95! You see why I'm doing this now? Yeah. Seth Rollins gets a 96, Ricochet gets a 93, and the Seth Rollins, showcase open challenge. Oh, one thing I did mention, of course, he does mention in the opening segment that Raw or SmackDown, wherever he gets drafted, he'll be keeping up the whole open challenge thing, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown. But because he can't challenge for the WWE Championship, that's what he's doing now to fill time until Roman Reigns drops the belt, I guess. But he really wants to fight for the world title, but who knows what show he's going to end up on. But for now, he's doing this, open challenges, to sort of get him bangers every week and showcase other people. Speaking of the draft, the first round of night 2 is in. There's going to be 5 nights, obviously, on SmackDown, like there were 7 on Raw, and then 2 on Talking Smack, which will be the post-show for here, before Velocity. Anyway, we're kicking things off with Raw's pick. Works the same way, 3 for Raw, 2 for SmackDown every round until the later stages, the Talking Smack stages, then it's even. Raw's first pick is in, and they take the first pick of night 2 of the WWE Draft. Along with his friends Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, the World Heavyweight Champion, Big E, remains on Raw. The perfect way to fire back. Raw's got a Raw Women's Champion or World Heavyweight Champion. SmackDown's got a WWE Champion. They need a Women's Champion. SmackDown's first pick, the SmackDown Women's Champion, Dakota Kai. So the 2 World Champions are now off the board. And Raw needs to make a big time pick for their second pick of the night. And they don't come more big time than Big Time Bex. Speaking of big picks, SmackDown's second pick, and their second pick of the first round and their last pick of the first round, they bring in from Raw to SmackDown the Beast, Brock Lesnar. And then Raw, the final pick of the first round of the 2022 WWE Draft, Night 2. He wasn't in last year's draft because he was exempt by being Raw's franchise player. I guess he technically still is because he never lost that right. But he's still going in the first round to Drew McIntyre to Raw. So night 1's in, some big picks, the two champions, no championship changing shenanigans this year like we had last year. Just the World Champion, the Raw Women's Champion to Raw, SmackDown Women's Champion and the WWE Champion to SmackDown. Boom, we move. And of course, Brock Lesnar moving to SmackDown. I think he's the only person who jumped over in this round, which is interesting. I guess technically Big E was on Raw, but was on SmackDown even. but he jumped over sort of before Mania because he chose to fight Finn. So he counts as staying on Raw. And then cut to Gorilla. Kayla's with Shotzi. She's like, Shotzi, last week you had a great WrestleMania week and you came so close to winning the Battle Royal and then had a great match with Sasha Banks. Really opened my eyes to Shotzi Blackheart. And then after the match, Ember Moon, your tag team partner, your friend, turned on you. And you've got a chance to face her tonight to get retribution. What's going through your mind? And she's like, well, I thought Ember had my back. I thought we were doing this together. I thought we lived together, we died together. I was by her side when she won the SmackDown Women's Championship. And we were the tag team champions together. And I guess I get a little bit of momentum on my side and she can't handle it. So I guess we were never friends. Kayla, I guess she used me to further her own career. Well, guess what? My career's on the rise, Ember. Let's see if you can handle it. And she puts the helmet on and gets in the tank and drives out for the match. Gets a 70. Ember Moon defeats Shotzi Blackheart in 5:13 with an Eclipse. Following, well, who do we have here? The first of the New America peeps to show up since WrestleMania. Mia Yim helps Ember Moon score the win. 76 for Ember, 72 for Shotzi. So there's some sort of alliance between Ember and Mia Yim. And then after the match, Mia gets in the ring and her and Ember 2-on-1 assault Shotzi. But who's here to make the save? The Utami. Because I guess she's like... I guess when they had Xia Li doing the protector thing, it's not that, she just sort of is like an overarching neutral good presence. Whereas Shotzi's chaotic good, obviously, and these are like chaotic evil, I guess. Lawful evil, maybe. But Utami's just, for now at least, because she's new here and she's like finding her feet, she is the overarching just presence. She can't sit by and watch her babyface get 2-on-1 assaulted, so she comes out to even the odds. And Mia Yim and Ember's new partnership ends with them retreating through the crowd before they can really get taken out by Utami. But we still don't know why Ember. I mean, Shotzi's sort of made a guess, and we can assume that that's accurate. But we don't know why Ember decided to turn on Shotzi for Mia Yim. That's interesting. Second round of the draft is in. Raw will pick first. And their first women's pick... No, second, because they took Becky. Their second women's pick of the night is in. Moving over to Raw from SmackDown. A woman who scored a huge victory at WrestleMania 38. The EST Bianca Belair.
I'm on my own, against the wall. The pressure's building, but no, I will never fall. Instead of crying, they hear me roar. And now I see that I'm way better than before. I never need...
SmackDown's on the bat. And we've seen him earlier on. He's made his intentions perfectly clear. And it looks like he's going to be staying on the blue brand. Seth freaking Rollins to SmackDown. Then Raw's up to bat. They take a group of people, a group of young men, a former Raw Tag Team Champion, an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, and a former World Heavyweight Champion, to sweep me for the Balor Club, staying on Raw. SmackDown's up. And they take another women's pick themselves, which counts as 2-1, I guess. It is the boss, Sasha Banks, and her apprentice, Miss Indy Hartwell, staying on SmackDown. The blueprint on the blue brand.
Yes, yes, y'all. So fresh, y'all. Snoop Dogg with Sasha Banks, we the best, y'all. Make way for the new, what it do. And if you run away, let me say she coming for you.
And the final pick of Raw for this round. There's still a few champions left on the board. So, staying on Monday Night Raw, the Intercontinental Champion himself. Raw's going to the moon with Mr. Cameron Grimes.
Let me tell a little story about a guy named Grimes. He sat at home hurting, had to make up for the time. He started playing games and invested all his change. Now he's worth much more than a couple little dimes.
Some interesting picks there. I think Bianca was the only one who sort of changed shows, but you know, it's the upper tier. Like a lot of these are the foundations of the brand, so I don't really want to change too many of them, but I also want to make a couple of changes so that it still feels fresh. But oh well, this is the second round in the books. Speaking of the draft, this actually did really good considering I rated him as well. Dolph Ziggler. He's not the one I rated. As the other person in the segment. Dolph Ziggler comes down. He says, you know, it's old DZ's favourite time of the year. Every year, I've got to sit back there and wait for my name to be called out in the draft. Because every year, I'm the sleeper pick in like round 5. They're like, oh, Dolph Ziggler this late in the game, he'll be a good pick. But I've got to watch all these NXT names get taken before me, all these other stars that haven't got my level of success. I think I've proved my worth for the last year. You missed me when I was gone. And now I'm here and I'm still that damn good. Because I'm Dolph Ziggler and I'm going to get myself back to where I belong, and that's right at the top of the draft and right at the top of the WWE. Then he's interrupted by the music of Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, who of course we saw, they were NXT picks. They were taken in round 2 in night 1 to SmackDown. And Trick Williams as well. I'm not going to imitate Trick Williams' vocabulary and his way of speaking, but it's fantastic. He's genuinely a top 5 favourite mic worker in wrestling to me. It's like, listen here, DZ. Melo, baby, he don't miss. And I'm Trick Williams. I got the gift of gab and the gift of the jab. And there's a reason why we got taken so high, because we're the hottest rising stars in all of NXT. We're bout it. Shit like that. You know, the Trick Williams standard. And Melo's like, listen, Ziggler, I know you've got to think the best of yourself, but you've got to let this go. You were great. You really were. You were the show stealer. Every single night you went on there, you put your life on the line. You delivered the best for them. But you're yesterday's news. You're getting on now. You never really reached the peak that you should have reached. And then Trick's like, tell him, Melo, tell him. It's like, your replacement has arrived. Except unlike you, I'm gonna reach the top because I don't miss. When I shoot, I don't miss. And I'm shooting for the WWE Championship. And if you're gonna stand in my way, Ziggler, I'm free to have my debut match here on SmackDown right now. And Dolph's like, well, kid, show me what you got. So we're gonna get Dolph Ziggler and Carmelo Hayes in Hayes' debut here on SmackDown. Apparently we're not, because apparently we're going to have the next round of the draft first. So I'm assuming I put the match later than this. Anyway, round 3 of the draft. Raw takes first. And they say they took World Heavyweight Champion Big E first in round 1. They took Finn Balor in round 2. Let's complete the set of 3. All 3 of our World Heavyweight Championship challenges from WrestleMania are going to be on Raw. The Swiss Cyborg, Cesaro, stays on Raw. Which then leads to SmackDown's first pick. The last champ, well, other than R-Truth. The last, no, because he's already gone. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, the last champions on the board. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the House of Black. Aleister Black, Brody King, Elias, Mark Andrews, Flash Webster, Danny Luna, all of them staying on SmackDown. Raw's up to bat. And they may have lost Seth Rollins, and not been able to get Seth Rollins. They don't have Ricochet, but another man impressed last week. A former WWE champion in his own right. Sami Zayn coming over to the red brand. SmackDown then up. And they're gonna metaphorically spit in the face of Dolph Ziggler right after that segment, because they're taking an NXT wildcard. Ladies and gentlemen, former NXT champion, former NXT tag team champion, one of the greatest superstars in the history of NXT. Welcome to SmackDown, Ciampa.
No one will survive.
Speaking of one of the greatest superstars in NXT history, one of those is coming to Raw, or staying on Raw, I should say, except it's not a wildcard pick. She's been around for a while now, but she's still one of the greatest stars in NXT history, and one of the greatest stars in women's wrestling history, period. I guess alongside her cohorts Julia and Micah, Asuka stays on Raw. So round 3 is in the books. Cesaro, Sami Zayn and Asuka to Raw. The entire House of Black and Ciampa to SmackDown. I know. I wasn't going to touch Ciampa's name. And it was going to not, tick off the goal. But my excuse was going to be, hey, they didn't mess with it in real life. So, I'm good. But then they did. So, I've had to chop it off as well. Excellent. But he's here, Ciampa, on SmackDown. There's the match. 80 rated. Carmelo Hayes beats Dolph Ziggler. 8:49. Trick Williams interferes. 71 for Melo. 88 for Ziggler. When he shoots, he don't miss. And that's a good debut match. We then get Kayla Braxton waiting outside Roman Reigns' locker room. And then out comes Paul Heyman. He's like, oh, Kayla, how wonderful to see you. It's never a good time to see you, but I have a little bit of a spoiler for you. You see, you're waiting out here, waiting to catch a word with the WWE Champion, the Tribal Chief. Am I right? And she's like, am I right? She's like, yeah, I'd like to see what Roman was up to heading into Judgment Day. It's like, Paul Heyman's like, you want to talk about Judgment Day? Let's talk about Judgment Day. You see, Judgment Day isn't for another 4 weeks, Kayla, which means the Tribal Chief, he can take his well-earned rest after he beat the biggest star on the planet, not just in wrestling, in the world, the biggest star on the planet, at WrestleMania. And we know he's on SmackDown because, of course, he was SmackDown's #1 draft pick. He should have been on Raw if Raw picked first, but hey-ho, I guess Rhea Ripley was more important to them. Anyway, the Tribal Chief is going to stay at home for 1 week, Kayla. I know SmackDown may not fall apart without him for 1 week. 2 weeks might be pushing it. But 1 week without the Tribal Chief will be fine for the brand. And he will be back here next week. And then, let's talk about Judgment Day. Okay, Kayla? Goodbye. And he slams the door in her face. We've now got our next round of the draft. Round 4, I believe. There are still some heavy hitters on the board, as evidenced by the first pick of Raw of round 4. Another group, because there are a lot of those that go together. MVP, Bronson Reed, and most notably, the almighty Bobby Lashley. The entire Hurt Business stays on Raw. SmackDown are then up to bat. And this is a man who thinks a lot of himself and probably thinks that he's the best pick of the whole thing. And he's got a new home because he was on Raw and he's now coming over to the Blue brand. It's Adam Cole, baby.
You know it's all
Up next to Raw, another group, funnily enough. The newest group to arrive on Monday nights. Led by former Raw Tag Team Champion Isaiah Swerve Scott, Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, and B-Fab, the Fordham known as Hit Row. SmackDown's up next, and they've got their eyes on the future of their women's division, stealing a big name away from Raw, coming over to SmackDown, Toni Storm. And the final pick of round 4 of night 2 of the WWE draft, Raw takes their own woman who could be their future of their women's division, remaining on Monday nights, the former SmackDown Women's Champion Sonya Deville.
I am a beast, I am a menace, I am the storm, I'm coming to get it. Conquer the throne and aim for the ceiling. Another victory, we always finish.
So round 4 is over. As you can see, there's still some big names left on the board. We've got one more round on this, and then 2 rounds on Talking Smack left to go, and then the entire draft is complete. But yeah, so far the rosters are lining up nicely. Adam Cole, Bebe, and Toni Storm jumping over from Raw to SmackDown. Speaking of jumping over from Raw to SmackDown, we have Candice LeRae in the ring. She was always on SmackDown, but last week she got into a little confrontation with Zelina, and she's like, well, I've got a bitch that's going to kick your ass. And Zelina comes out, and she's like, Candice, look. I know you were waiting for me to spring on you some surprise, but listen here. I don't need to do that because I don't need anybody to attack you and take you out for me. Just I've got to wait for my knee to heal up, and then I'll kick your ass easily. Hell, I probably could do it with one knee. It's just I don't want to risk putting myself out for even longer. I'm more of a danger to myself than you are to me. Let's put it that way. And yeah, Candice, maybe everything I'm telling you is true, or maybe you should keep your focus on all around you and not pay attention to what I'm saying, because you never know when someone might spring up behind you. And then behind Candice we see Raquel, and she lays out Candice LeRae from behind. So Zelina was pulling her strings this whole time, and she gets in the ring and she's like, Candice, you may know Raquel from her time on Raw and SmackDown before, but this is a new Raquel. This Raquel is a true Hispanic legado. Meet Raquel Rodriguez. So yeah, we're doing the name change. I was going to put her in the group the whole time, and then they did the name change in real life. I'm like, yeah, that kind of... She can join Legado. We changed Cruz del Toro's name. Yada yada. Like, it's more Hispanic, I get. It's not. They're both Hispanic surnames. But, yeah. Raquel is sort of the henchwoman of Zelina Vega now. And we get a quick 2-minute squash match because Candice has, of course, been assaulted from behind. And Raquel just quickly puts her down with the Chacona bomb in, like, 2 minutes. Candice gets a 77, Raquel gets a 64. So, we're going to try and heat Raquel up on SmackDown now. She's a heel. She's managed by Zelina Vega. She's a part of Legado de la Sombra. Yeah, all in all, perfectly fine. Name change aside. Speaking of the women's division, Bayley's in the locker room. And she's still on SmackDown. We know she's on SmackDown. She got drafted on Raw. So she's just sort of chilling. And she's putting stuff in her locker, and she shuts the locker door again, and Cora Jade's behind there again, like last week. Basically, oh my god, what do you want? You're not even on the show tonight. She's like, listen, I know, Bayley, but look, listen, I've got something to ask you. And Bayley's like, wait, how do you even get in here? You're even supposed to be in here. And Cora's like, No, I'm probably going to get chased out by security in any minute now, so I really need to tell you something really quickly. Okay, last week, Dakota Kai was looking for challenges for a FedEx Women's title. Okay, we have Io, we had Kyrie, we had Bianca. Bianca's going over Raw, Io and Kyrie are busy with the tag team titles. You should go in there, and you should get yourself a shot of that championship. And Bayley's like, okay, slow down. First of all, I don't need you to tell me what to do. And second of all, and then we hear Pierce going, excuse me, how'd you get in here? She's like, I'm sorry, Adam, I'm leaving. Bayley, remember what I told you, remember? And then Cora sort of gets dragged away. And Bayley's like, huh, what a weirdo. Final televised round of the draft. Yeah. Round 5 opens. And we're going to continue to bolster the Raw Women's division. Because remaining on Raw, the duo of Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. Speaking of divisions and tag teams, the SmackDown Tag Team division is going to get a shot in the arm. Because they're taking a group, the former Raw Tag Team Champions, Chad Gable, Coach Thatcher Otis, and Desmond Troy, the Alpha Academy.
Cheers! Cheers, please!
Raw, they've had a women's division, they've got their tag team division, so they need to bolster their ranks just in general on their roster. So coming over from SmackDown to Raw, the Bro, Matt Riddle. And we just saw her a minute ago. I mean, we drafted Raquel over here last time. But the rest of the group is in today's pool, but not anymore because the rest of Legado de la Sombra, Andrade, Zelina Vega, Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro all coming over to stay on SmackDown. And the final pick of Night 2, the televised rounds of the WWE Draft, Raw is taking from SmackDown the glorious Bobby Roode.
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend.
So that's it. Night 2 is officially over. We've got 2 more rounds on Talking Smack where the rest of the roster will be assigned. I think we still have 2 wild cards left, question mark? Yeah. I think so, because we've got Ciampa, we had Carmelo, we had Nova, yeah. So yeah, look forward to that one, kids. But I believe it's main event time. Yeah, I didn't expect this to do too good. And we're still in the process of building Braun up properly. Plus I kept Kevin Owens strong. Because he didn't want to lose and I didn't want to demolish his popularity. So Braun wins in 11:47. He beats Kevin Owens to retain the US title. And Braun gets a 56. Kev gets a 79. And then Braun holds the title up high. He's ending the show as the US champion. What a night. Kevin Owens gets to his feet. And Braun's like, hey, fair fight, Kev. Shake my hand. That was a good fight. And Kev sort of looks at him disgusted. He's like, no, I'm not going to shake your hand, Braun Breaker. When from behind, Braun Breaker is then jumped by Adam Cole, baby. And Adam Cole sort of gives a look at Kevin Owens. He's like, sup, buddy? And Kev's like, I don't want any part of this. I've just done this with a friend like a month ago. I'm out of here. He rolls out of the bottom of the ring. And then Adam Cole drops Braun Breaker with the last shot. And hoists the US title up high to end the show. Round 6 of the draft. The first round on Talking Smack. We're going to do 3 for Raw, 3 for SmackDown, 6 picked in all in this round. And we're going to start off with Raw. They're using the 4th NXT wildcard. Coming to Raw, the impressive star, former NXT champion. He went toe-to-toe with Finn Balor and the Tribal Chief at Survivor Series. Mr. Ronnie Hughes. And then we follow that up with the final NXT wildcard being used. Speaking of Survivor Series, Ronnie wasn't the only NXT star who had a great night that night. Somebody else did, maybe under a different name, before an edict came in that all names had to be changed. Cough, cough. But this one is a duo of impressive young women. The duo of Kelsey Cook and Anne-Marie Porter. Speaking of impressive duos, I think they've flip-flopped a couple of times already, but they're flip-flopping again, hoping to try and find their feet on Raw the next season. Eric and Ivar, the Viking Raiders. And going the other way from the Viking Raiders is a tag team from Raw. They've been getting the spotlight on Raw a lot recently, but that's about to change because they're now going over to SmackDown. Not that they're not going to get spotlight, but obviously it's not going to be on Raw. Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish, the infamous era. The final pick of round 6 of Raw is going to make somebody very happy they've already drafted, because another addition to their women's division, Kaylee Ray. And the final draft pick for SmackDown. They were members of the A-list, but they're out on their own now. They've got to land on their own feet on SmackDown because they've been separated from Miz and Shanky, the duo of Caden Carter and Katana Chance, the Ninja Warriors. So there's round 6, final NXT picks used. Anna Jay, obviously impressed in Survivor Series, but can't use that name anymore. So Anne-Marie Porter is here. I don't have a team name for her and Kelsey yet. Kelsey of Cook being Julia Hart, of course. But yeah, this is the 6th round, and we now move on to the final round, I guess, with no fanfare because it's on the pre-show. And with the final round of Raw, Raw Women Division wouldn't be complete without them. They're an overarching presence on the brand. 5 women in 1, Maki, Mina, Marika, Mizuki, Tam, J Flo.
Let's go!
SmackDown takes... We saw her earlier on tonight. She seemed to have formed a new alliance with Mia Yim, who's not in the draft pool because we don't know the status of the New America people, but I guess they're free agents and they can sign wherever. But Ember Moon, by herself, coming to SmackDown. And then the final picks. We've got 2 tag teams left on the board, and Raw's going to take one. Just in the interest of shaking it up. These could have gone either way, but in the interest of shaking it up, we're going to send one to Raw that was on SmackDown and one to SmackDown that was on Raw. So Raw's team, the duo of Dio Madden and Mansoor. And last but certainly not least, a duo that I really, really need to start heating up again. The duo of Death from Above, Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik. And that's the draft. If there's any names you remember being on the main roster that aren't in the draft, they've either been moved down to NXT or been cut. So this is the roster. Yeah. let me know who you think has the better show, I guess. And I'll see you on the other side for Velocity, where we're actually going to start the Cruiserweight World Cup. So the second episode of Velocity kicks off with the first two groups, like the two A group and B group matches of the Cruiserweight World Cup. And we start with RJC introducing the WWE Universe to Yosuke Akatsuka, who is the renamed Yohei Komatsu / Yo of New Japan Show and Yo fame. He's our big international junior heavyweight signing for this tournament. Group A actually really is like a showcase of like the best. I designed it that way on purpose. It's got Rey Mysterio in it, who, you know, is Rey fucking Mysterio. It's got Yosuke, who's the big international signing. It's got Jimmy Wang Yang, who's a returning veteran. And Nathan Fraser, who we gave a spotlight to on Raw. So yeah, that's just the grip. It's going to be, look at this sick group. And the first match of the tournament is going to be Rey Mysterio facing off against Yosuke Akatsuka in his WWE debut. Gets a 72. I couldn't justifiably put Yosuke over Rey. So Rey wins in a banger, and they shake hands afterwards to get the first points on the board in Group A of the Cruiserweight World Cup. Rey gets a 78 and a 49 for Yosuke Akatsuka. And then we move straight into the second match of Group A, which is Nathan Fraser against Jimmy Wang Yang. Not as good because they're both unimportant, but Nathan Fraser defeats Jimmy Wang Yang in 9:41 by submission. 52 for both, actually, Jimmy and Nathan. And yeah, big 3 points for Nathan Fraser and for Rey Mysterio. Oh shit, this is a banger. This is even better than the opener. Mark Andrews might actually be really fucking good. But he's of House of Black, he's kind of spooky now, so he's still got kind of that mystique from that. So obviously he's going to beat Cruz del Toro here in 10:39 with a shooting star press. 75 for Mark Andrews, 59 for Cruz. And a banger of a match to kick off Group B. And then the main event is Drew Gulak against Goran Metalik, two cruiserweight veterans. Goes to a time limit draw. I don't know if I've mentioned this anywhere, because at the moment I haven't done like a bracketology video yet. But the matches are going to be 15-minute time limits, because they're cruiserweights. So like, they do the flippy shit, bang, 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 all over. Basically, steal the show and fucking high spots matches in the game. That limit, that's going to be the time limit, because I want to sort of have draws. Because I think that makes the groups more interesting if there's draws. But that would either require a double DQ, or a double count out, or fucking whatever. So 15-minute time limit is just 4 fast-paced bangers on a 1-hour show. That's the goal here. And Metalik and Gulak go to the time limit, because I want one on the first show to be like, ah shit, look what can happen. 76 for Gulak, 66 for Metalik. And that is the end of the Velocity. The first two groups have had their first matches done. Rey and Fraser with 3 points in Group A. Mark Andrews with 3 points in Group B. And then Gulak and Metalik on 1. This World Cup's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be nice and easy to smash through like it was here. So, yeah. Let me know what you thought about this and of SmackDown in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for Raw Week 3. The first Raw with the new rosters following the WWE Draft. See you then.